Green Line Breakdown, episode 13. How's everybody doing today? How we feeling? Season is turning up. It is deadline week. Praying we make a move, Brad Stevens. I'm praying for you. I'm praying we don't do something crazy, but also I kind of hope we do something crazy. Here we go. Let's just dive right into it. Up and down week, 6-7. Where are we? Where are we as a team? Where is the league? Things I ask every week. Big picture, where are we as a team? In a solid place. The deadline has come. We're in position to make a move to help us win a championship. There are different things we could have been doing this week, right? We could have positioning ourselves to make a move to better our future, not our immediate future, but our postseason, post this season future. We could have been making a move to set ourselves up better to make better moves next season, which is even worse. Or we can do what we are doing this year, which is making moves to better the current season. Always the best spot to be in. Also a very risky spot to be in. You can play it conservative. You can play it safe. I don't think we do. I don't think Brad Stevens ever does. But this is where we're at. So what are we going to do? What did the week look like for us? Does that maybe answer some questions on what we might do? I've heard some rumors. Let's get right into it. Tough start to the week. Or I guess not that tough start to a week. It was just an up and down week. So come out on Monday, right? We're playing what I think is a team we can handle in the Blazers. I like the Blazers. Rob Williams is on the Blazers. You got some good pieces. Scoot, you got all those guys up there in Portland, but they're a team that I just don't look at and say, you should be dropping a game to them. You are in the third seed. You have to get these wins. There's no question about it. When a team comes across and you need to help yourself in the standings, you win these games. That's how it is. That's how it should be. And you took care of business. So kind of a tight game, but I think we all, did fairly well. Portland's also got Klingon from UConn, I think. Not a big college basketball guy, but yeah, Donovan Klingon. He's a good player. Drew Holiday returned. That was big. Like I said, you got Rob Williams, you got Shadon Sharp, good team. But of course, you got us, and that's who I care about. Jaylen Brown, 20 points. Not his best game, one from 3-point K to 4 points. Pritchard had a great game, 50% shots, 23 points. Derek White, 18 points. This was a game that I would like to see more often, where you kind of have an even split between Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, right? All around 20 points, all around 35 minutes of playing time. Jaylen Brown, 36, Pritchard, 35, Derek, 34. Almost an even split, basically. And they all shot pretty well. Derek White, 50%, 7 of 14. Pritchard, 8 of 16, 50%. And Jaylen Brown, 8 of 17, a little under 50. That is a great game where, you see a team across the court from you that is a team you should beat. That there should not be an immense effort to get over that team. And you see your top 3 players, your top most respected and viewed players, taking care of business, having an even split, good shooting game, and keeping it relatively not close. We only won by 8 points, but that is a question of what did the game feel like towards the fourth quarter, and I think they handled them well. Not a lot of bench help. Simons had 12, 5 of 12, and there's really nobody else here. Cato with 4, Gonzalez with 2, Sharman with 2, Walsh with 1. So it really was your top 3 guys. Not a huge scoring game, one toward the end. Your top 3 guys who take care of business. Those are games I like to see. All bets are off when it's a good team. Win however you want to win. But when it's a team you can handle, that should be a learning moment, a chance to educate yourselves on what kind of team you need to be, or what kind of team you can rely on being. And what I mean by that is you've had years with a lot of these guys. Derek White, 4 years. Brown, 10 years. Pritchard, 4 or 5 years. A lot of these guys that have played the same, had results from playing that way, taking care of business when it needs to be taken care of. Do you still have that? You've seen some inconsistencies from Derek White, right? He hasn't been playing as I think we all hoped he would this year. Part of that, I think, is Tatum is not right there being his ally. They kind of fed off of each other. They made their game styles, they made each other play better. So to see him have such a considerable step back, the consistency's not there. But not to say he's been a bad player. I think he's been good. It's just the weight of a win from him alone has not been there. There were games so many times last year where we said, Derek White, you can always rely on this guy. And he really doesn't have that trust And you got to look at it from season to season. Any sport, you can't be looking at it from what he's done the past 3 years. What is he doing in this moment? Age will take effect. He's getting older, but it could just be like the players who surround you take effect. Not having Tatum there is a huge, huge loss for the play style of this team, the way they pass the ball around, the fluid motion of the ball, and the players themselves. It affects everything. So it's good to see, like I said, not a simple opponent, but opponent you should handle. And you kind of fell back into your old ways of, here are our 3 best guys. They all played pretty, average to pretty good. 20 points is, I think any of those guys can score over 20 points. But they all scored average to pretty good. They all took care of the ball. They took care of business, and they get the win. That is a good win. You got to take something from every game. You have to take a little bit of something from every game, a lesson or something not to do. Learn something about your teammate that you didn't know. Learn something about your relationship that can make the next game better. You got to take something from every game. And I think what they take from this is when these 3 guys are on it, we're hard to beat. We're hard to beat. And that's what you should be. Even without Tatum, even without great depth like you've had in past, take care of the ball, take care of business, have our 3 best guys go out there, and you get the job done. Great win. And then you play a team you shellacked not too long ago in the Atlanta Hawks, who have made some changes, but nothing considerable. And you know what? You just don't give them your best. I mean, when I see a loss like that to a team you just beat, to a team who is not viewed as anything special, and they beat you 117 to 106, not very good. And it was a slow start. Really, that's all it was. You let Atlanta score 38 points on you in the first quarter. That should not happen. You are a gritty team this year. You are a team that relies on defense, on efficiency. You cannot let a team get on you 38-18 in the first quarter. 20-point lead. Not saying you can't scratch back, but you scored more points for them in the second quarter, more points for them in the third quarter, and you tied in the fourth quarter. But you put yourself in such a hole in the first, you couldn't get back to it. And Atlanta's not a team where you can't scratch back, and you just didn't. It's tough. You have a good solid win against the Blazers, and then you drop the ball against the Hawks. Not saying they didn't do good. Corey Kispert, 13 points. Johnson, 19. Dyson Daniels, who I like as a player, who made his name last year, 15 points. You have all these guys on Atlanta who not world beaters. CJ McCollum, God, you are the death of the NBA. I hate you. He ruined the game. I hope nothing but bad things for CJ McCollum. Luke Kennard, 9 points. They're not a team where you should be threatened by much, but when they get a good start on you, and clawing back might not be an option. I wish it was, and I wish you put your foot to it, but you just didn't put that in. You didn't play bad the rest of the game, but you just played so bad in the first, you never could give yourself a chance. That's tough to watch. And this is a game where, admittedly, the scoring was not there. Jaylen Brown, 21 points, your lead scorer on 9 from 20. 0 from 5 from the 3-point. Jaylen, you are not a guy who, if the ball is not dropping, just keep shooting. I've heard that sentiment so much in this league where it's like, oh yeah, if the threes aren't dropping, just take the next shot. No, sometimes when you're your size and you play the way you do, Jaylen, when you can control the paint, put your head down and go into the paint. Or pass the ball away. If you're 0 for 5, you're not on. You're not hot. You're not on. It's not going well for you. I'm a schlep. I get that. I'm not an NBA player. But when you watch these guys for years, I mean, he's in his 10th year, 11th year, whatever it is, you've got to stop shooting. You have to stop shooting. From the 3. From the 2, you were doing fine. You were 9 for, do the math right here. What were you 9 for 20? 9 for 15 in the paint. It's not great, but it's not bad. Like, I need more in the paint from you. Hauser, 5 for 9, 12 points. Richard, 12 points, 28 minutes. Derek White, 31 minutes, 11 points. The 3-point, not great. There wasn't much of a effort across the board. Simons with 12 points. Garza with 11 points. Great. That's great. But I see some reduced minutes from some of the bigger guys. I mean, Pritchard at 28 minutes and Derek White 31. But this came across as a game that they were trying to get depth, more minutes. I mean, Luka Garza 24 minutes, Gonzalez 27 minutes. Simon's 19, Jordan Walsh 21. When you have all these depth guys getting half of their playing time or half the game time, that comes across to me as Missoula trying to get these guys more experience. And I know Missoula thought he could play them that amount and they could still get a win. So I'm sure it's disappointing still that they didn't run away with it. It's just, I don't know. You got to get these wins while you are stacking up where you are on the rankings, on the standings. Like, we can't be dropping a game to Atlanta for a lesson. Even though I just said, right, like, you got to take something away from this game. Giving more minutes to the depth guys when you're down 18-30, yeah, when you're down 20 points in the first quarter, not the solution. Change up your coaching. Jaylen should have got more minutes. There's so much about this arrest conversation going on in the league of like, how long should these players be playing? What is their usage? I get it. Jaylen Brown's averaging probably top 3 usage in the league right now. You want to be the best, you play the most, you play the best. I don't know what to say. That I had an argument with an older gentleman about 2 weeks ago about this issue where he was talking about Michael Jordan, why Michael Jordan's the best in the league, and I was trying to give props to LeBron, and there are good points they argue that really there is no argument for. Of the star players back then played their games. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, they played the entire game. They got some rest here and there, right? Like, they got the rest, but they played the game. They played the game. They played it full minutes. What is our argument as a younger generation that, oh, they're playing better people, they get tired easier, they're pushing their bodies to the limit? Maybe, but it's not like I've seen the effort. Couple of guys that I don't like, but I know will always give an effort. Jimmy Butler, like after that finals against Denver, I think it was Denver. I'll always have a little bit of respect because he grinded out those minutes and he was the star player. They looked to him. He did everything he could and they got beat out by better talent. They got beat out by MVP Jokic. There's nothing you can do about that. And he put his all in it. There's players around this league that do not do that. There's guys that do not put in a full effort, full minutes, start of the season to the end of the season. I was saying 3 weeks ago, New Year's comes around. That's the official start of the league. Guys around the league start playing, really playing. I'm not a casual for saying that. Like, it's quite obvious that a lot of this NBA, a lot of these players do not put in a full effort all the time. And I'm not trying to be like a hardo, like you got to be 99% of the time, you got to be dialed in. It's not that. Like, it is a emptiness of effort. Like, it's not like I'm saying you're putting in, or no, sorry. It's not like I'm saying the mid effort is not enough. These guys are putting in no effort. There are guys who do not turn it on at all until they get to January, February, and they kind of see how their teams are playing out. That is non-existent in any other league. Baseball is kind of hard to measure, right? Because they have a really long season. They play so many games, and there's not really much of a consistent like play of minutes. I guess the outfield, you're out in an inning for a long time, but like batting is kind of a weird split to measure, where the best thing would be hockey, the sport that plays the same amount of games as you, that plays at the exact same time frame as you do. Hockey players are dialed in from game 1 to game 82. The NBA does not do that. There is a lot of laziness in the NBA. So that, I expected. I guess it's hard to say I expect it out of Jaylen Brown. I expect that out of Pritchard and Derek White. Maybe. Do you want to win the playoffs? You gotta be like that. You gotta play like that. So I'm kind of getting a little lost in my thoughts here, but it really is more just about, you gotta show this effort. You can't. I don't think we're as much of victims as the Boston Celtics, I'm saying, are victims of that mindset. It's more about these crappier teams, guys on the Hornets, guys on the Kings. Sometimes LeBron has quit on seasons. And I I'm sorry, I don't love LeBron, but I respect LeBron as a player. I do think he's a top 2 best player. Him and Michael are an argument to be made. He's up there. He's earned that respect, but he has given up on seasons. Couple with the Lakers. I don't think he ever did it with Miami. He was only there for a short time, though, 4 years. Couple seasons with the Cavaliers. When he kind of got the sense the first time, the second time, not as much. When he gets the sense that the season's like he's not going to win a ring, like, and that's not his fault. That's to say, you need 2 other guys on the team, and Cleveland gave him nobody. And the Lakers, there were like 2 seasons there where there was nobody on that team that he could run away with. AD gets hurt. He gets this sense of like taking his foot off the gas. That's the best player. That's your star player in the NBA. That's your marketing guy that you shop to the world, or he was anyway. I don't know if he still is, but he took his foot off the gas. That's a hard thing to watch. Patrick Mahomes, who was the NFL's boy for the last 6, 7 years, 8 years, he has never once given up on a season. Tom Brady never did. You would see them grinding pain through their ankle, whatever it may be, playing football. And I know it's less games, but they are grinding. They are putting their full effort in constantly. And the NBA suffers from that. We don't as much. And we're lucky for that. But this is why I don't feel bad for Jaylen Brown. To make a point clear, I don't feel Jaylen Brown is getting abused or anything like that. Like, his usage is up there. You are the best player on your team. You want to lead them to a championship. You have all these things to say, which I'll talk about the games quickly and kind of go into that because I have 2 big topics I want to talk about. You got to do what you got to do. I'm not going to feel bad for you. You're not going to get pats on the back because of high usage. You're going to win the games in front of you, and that's it. So tough loss to Atlanta, but you make up for it with you make up for it right after. Where I get lost in my notes all the time. My apologies, folks. And I know this is supposed to be a good operation with Sacramento, right? Sacramento's a team, bottom of the league. You take care of business. You beat them by 20. Just to run through the stats with you really quickly. Oh, God, I'm looking at the Sacramento Kings roster. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Schroeder. A lot of guys on here you like, but not enough. Malik Monk. Celtics actually had a pretty good all-around game. Richard's game, 29 points, 12 of 16, 5 of 6 from 3. That's great. Derek White, 7. Jaylen Brown got some rest here. After that whole no rest, 99% dialed in. Sacramento, you felt was bad enough. That's okay. That's a coaching decision, I would hope, to say Joe Mazzulla looks at this team and go, these guys suck. Let's put our depth in now. Atlanta is a better team than the Kings. This all should have been taken out on the Kings. Put the depth in for a lot of minutes. Let them cook. Jaylen Brown takes some rest. We're going to beat them anyway. And they did do that. Good minutes, good scores. Ironman, 31 minutes, 16 points. That's good. Hauser, 30 minutes, 10 points, 3 of 9, 2 of 8 from the 3. I clip this podcast up and post clips on TikToks for people who are unaware. They're no traction at all. It's terrible. I wouldn't recommend the TikTok. But listening on Spotify and Apple Music always better. But I talked about Hauser in the last episode, and it shook a lot of people. A lot of people were upset, shockingly, that I mentioned Sam Hauser's consistency issues. Now, mind you, he shot 2 from 8 from the 3-point against the Kings. The depth pieces were taking primary control of this game. Derek White and Pritchard had a really good game. Derek White didn't. Pritchard did. But this was a depth game. We were relying on these guys to add into the minutes. These are some of the comments I got. This is a terrible opinion. What about Derek or Payton's inconsistency? Which I agree on, and I did say in the episode, I don't believe it was in the clip. This is a career 40% plus 3-point shooter, by the way. Yes, he is. He is that. But he doesn't take shots all the time, which is part of the problem. And then this other one, Sam Hauser shoots 42, 40, 90, with 4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and a positive plus-minus on 23 minutes a game. Pretty consistent as you get. Oh, and then he goes on to say, you're going to get from a 3-and-D guy in the NBA. 2 things we have to recognize here. Hauser is a 3-and-D guy. That is what you expect out of him. To shoot 3-pointers and be you're not a cone on defense, right? And I agree. He's the 8th, 9th best guy on the team, whatever it is. That's what he should be doing. And I'm not saying he doesn't do that. What I'm saying is he doesn't do it all the time. I don't think he has bad games. He just has nothing burger games. He'll go in, right? He will go in and not take a shot for 10 minutes, 15 minutes of playing time. He'll have 0-0. So you're a 3-and-D guy and you didn't even attempt a 3. This is what I really was. You can have different types of inconsistency. You can have inconsistency where you're dialed in and you're a threat on offense, right? And you're taking control of the ball on defense. And then you'll have 6 games straight where he wasn't missing shots. He just wasn't taking them. And he's out there for 15 minutes. So he has less playing time, admittedly. But you're 3-and-D. One half of your job is to take a 3-pointer. That was really what I was getting at with Hauser, which I think is why he should be a trade asset. And these guys, and I don't even know why I'm reading from friggin' clip comments. I feel like that's the worst thing. But, and somebody commented, I mean, you can say this with a lot of players on the roster. That was my point, where we need a guy, and this is why I kind of prop Tatum up a lot, at least attempts to play basketball. Like, Tatum will have bad games, of course. He'll have horrible games, but he took shots. Hauser is a guy who will be out there for 15 minutes and he's not even there. Literally 0 for 0 across the board. No rebounds, no assists, no nothing. And maybe played okay defense. Okay, that's one half of the court. Like, for you not to show up is concerning. Again, you are at the bottom of the roster, but you should be doing something, and you can say that for a lot of guys on this team. And that's bad. That's not a good thing. Maybe I shouldn't have pointed out as Hauser being the only guy, but it's a reason I point out Hauser as a trade asset, where there's a lot of 3-and-D guys on this team. We're going to pick one of them to trade. Like, that, Hauser does nothing that I look at and go, we can't get rid of him. Of course we can. We can get rid of him. Like, we can find another guy who does the exact same thing. Yes, he won a championship with us. I have some respect for that. I have a lot of respect for that. And I have appreciation for him. He's not one of my favorite players, but I don't hate the guy. I don't hate anybody that wears the Celtics green. You cannot play like that. You cannot not show up for 5 games, 3 games, 2 games, and then all of a sudden have a great game again. It amazes me. And, it's like, I don't know. I don't want to shame the guy too much, but 30 minutes, 3 for 9 from the field, 2 from 8 from the 3-point. So you had 10 points. You had something, and it was the Kings. And maybe you were letting other guys take care of it. I'm not saying like it's completely his fault, but you're not a guy that I'm like, God, we got to keep Hauser. He's younger, but you got a lot of young guys. You got, Shireman, who is also not a guy where I'm like, we have to keep Shireman. We don't. We can trade him. He can be a trade asset. I wouldn't be crying if we trade him. This kind of goes into my trade deadline talk, but Jordan Walsh is one of the few guys who kind of falls into that category. But personally, for me, I think he can be something more, right? Like I've seen some things, and I'm a casual basketball fan in the end, right? I don't know too much. Just with his upbringing of the league, being in the G League, coming to the pros, whatever. I think he offers more. And I think he can offer more in the future, right? That's what I think. Hauser, who I've watched for 4 years, I know he can't offer any more than what he's given us. That's his ceiling. And honestly, Shireman's still young. He's in his 2nd year, but I also kind of see Shireman as like, Shireman was the Hauser replacement. That is his ceiling. That's what they said when they drafted him, that he's a perfect replacement for Hauser. So he's going to do the same thing. We have 2 guys who do the exact same thing and have not shown me anything else. And Shireman's been more consistent this year. So get rid of one of them. Use one of them as a piece in a trade for a center that you need. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. People argue that, where it's like, this is a terrible take. You want to say my take sucked? That's fine. I don't know enough. You can complain. I do this show to keep you people updated, because 90% of the people watching the clips are watching this on Spotify or Apple Music. If you do, shout out you. All 10 of you. Could be 5 of you. Could be 1 of you. But I'm going to do it anyway, because I love this. Because I love keeping you guys updated. It's what I see on the court. Like, he's not anything crazy to not get rid of him. To think that's a terrible opinion. He's super, he's 40%, great, 23 plus minus, which is great. It is a statistic, though. And sometimes statistics don't always tell the full story. Watching the games really is the only thing that tells the full story. And these guys think, I don't watch the game. Like, where it's like, he thought, and I don't know if you can tell, the clips kind of cut the border off. Celtics poster, Larry Bird Wheaties box, that's Gillette Stadium at the top. Celtics 2024 banner right there, right? His comment was insinuating that I am a NBA podcaster who was just kind of talking about the Celtics, that I have no relation to the Celtics. That episode is wearing a Patriots logo. My point being, I'm from the area. I watch the games. My hope is you do too. And maybe Hauser's your favorite player, but to stand here and argue with me that he's not replaceable, he's not consistent. Maybe he's not inconsistent to a high level, but he's not consistent. That is not an argument I'm willing to have with you. He does not show up in times. Other guys do too. And I'm not going to argue it anymore. So I'm going to leave it at that. That was all about the Kings game. It kind of goes into what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to talk about a little bit of this, then I'll talk about the Bucks game, which just happened. Because we won the Bucks against the Bucks. Giannis-less Bucks. They really don't have much going for them. And you end the week 3-1. That's, you could have ended it 4-0. So if you had got that Atlanta win, you're 4-0. That's a good week. I'm not saying 3-1's bad. You always take more wins than losses. It's a good week. But so part of what I wanted to talk about, especially after this game and Jaylen Brown taking a break, there were some comments made, and as the deadline approaches, right, there were some comments made from Tatum this week about him returning. Trade deadline, this is being filmed on February 1st. Trade deadline is on Thursday on the 5th. I think it's always 4 p.m. All I've been talking about the past 2 weeks, if you keep up with the NBA, all they have been talking about was brain spasm there. Us trading for a center, right? That's been the big conversation at the deadline. Celtics are going to trade for a center because Tatum is going to make an attempt to come back, and this team is in a good position to get to the finals because the East is kind of soft. So we're going to try. You get to the finals, all bets are off, right? Like, anything can happen. If we play OKC, they'll probably beat us, but it's a miracle we made it to the finals anyway. So they're going to make an attempt to push us forward. We're in a good spot and set us up well for the next season. That was the big conversation. And all of a sudden, Tatum goes on a podcast or whatever he was on, radio interview, and makes comments that he is now not completely sold on returning this season. It has nothing to do with his health. It has nothing to do with how his Achilles is doing, how he feels. He made that comment because, and I quote, it was something like, I don't want to ruin the good thing the team has going. Tatum is an emotional guy. Always been kind of a hard on his sleeve guy, where Jaylen Brown's been more of the muscle, tough grit. Always has been. It's always been like that. And Tatum, he can be a tough guy, but everybody looks at him and goes, stop doing that. You're better when you're a silent warrior. It's always been like that. So Tatum is kind of, I wouldn't be shocked, and shock's not even the right word. It's a definite that he hears what Jaylen Brown has been saying all season. And I've alluded to these comments in episodes past. Tatum hears that Jaylen Brown is emotional about this season because of two things. He feels like he's been disrespected the past 8 years about his efforts and his skill as a player, which is the truth. He's always been knocked as like the number 2 on the Celtics, or when it's mentioned that, well, they're both ones, right? They're both ones. Tatum's 1A, Jaylen Brown's 1B, which when I hear that, that's still the insinuation that Jaylen Brown's the second guy. We can say 1A, 1B based on talent level, but Jaylen Brown's still the afterthought. So I'm not going to stand here and say that's not the case. Jaylen Brown, I feel for you. I understand what that might do to you. 10th year, this guy came right after you, and they kind of gave Tatum the keys as the leader, even though you're both well off as leaders. So I agree with you on that point. But you also feel that you've had to sacrifice in years past, that you've had to sacrifice from your play, from your stats, whatever it may be. And that is not the case. That is not the truth. And I point out that word directly. He has because this is what he said. He feels like he has had to sacrifice in years past. I understand that you've been disrespected. You have not had to sacrifice, though. You're the number 1 player, gets a lot of recognition, understandably. Tatum, a lot of recognition. You have not had to sacrifice skill or opportunities. The only thing I can really point to is you not getting selected for the Olympics 2 years ago. But I think that was more because of your issues with Nike and all that, which you alluded to yourself, Jaylen Brown. Now I'm talking to you directly. You alluded to yourself that the reason you didn't get selected for that team is because you were outspoken, which I agree with you. I think that is why you didn't get selected. And it's it's a capitalist economy. You've got to say the right things to get on the team. So that would be the only thing I could point to and say you've had to sacrifice that opportunity. You've gotten about everything else. I see you on as many ads and as many promos as Jayson Tatum. Sure, Jayson Tatum gets maybe a little more recognition than you. But do not stand there and say, because Jayson Tatum, what? Because he gets the ball more than you? He gets the ball more than you because we all, the fans, the coaching staff, if it's the end of the game, I never wanted you to take the final shot. I love you as a player, and I feel like this is disrespectful in a way to even put this out there. But you have never been the guy where have looked at you and go, you are taking the final shot. I don't know if it's pressure. I don't know if it's decision making, but you are more Marcus Smart at the end of the game than you are Jayson Tatum. Marcus Smart was very willing to be in that position, but man, did he never deliver. He never delivered. Tatum delivered a little bit. I almost think Derek White should be taking the final shot. Well, previous than this season, Derek White or Peyton Pritchard should have been taking the final shots. So for you to stay, you are the number 2 guy on one of the best teams in the league for the last 5 years. What did you have to sacrifice? I don't like these comments, and I think they are very anti-leadership. I've always been a Tatum guy. When there was conversations of splitting up the team, and everybody picked a side. If they said, "Oh, they never wanted to split up," they're lying. It's a theory. It's theoretical. That conversation comes up. People thought about it. They said, "Well, if they decide to split them up, you pick one. Who you picking?" I've always been a Tatum guy. Not to say I thought Jaylen Brown was worse, but Tatum is, and I think always will be, a better leader because of his silent warrior mentality. He was never really showed bother as much. He didn't have the energy and the pump that you had. I will always give you that. I think you've been more of the heat of the team than he has. But I've seen it again and again this whole season, and I get it. Some people love it. Some people love the few mentality. I get it. Especially with the kind of team we are. We've never been that. The Celtics have never been that. Maybe the 08 team with Garnett and all those guys. They won one. They walked out of that era with one championship. We've more often than not been, we know who we are. We're going to show up. We're going to punch you in the face. And we're not going to say much about it. There's not a lot of flair to it. And I could be totally wrong with this, but this is what I've been watching over the past 10 seasons since 2015, which admittedly in the history of the Celtics basketball is not a lot at all. But how I feel is Tatum's been a better leader because in the moments where people hate you, you're the Boston Celtics, everybody's against you, pressure's on, and it comes down to it. Tatum's always been the guy that didn't show it as much. Frustrations, irritability. You have always been a conduit for that stuff. And again, I hate to, this is kind of shining a bad light on you because I still love you on my team. I wish you don't go anywhere else. But when push comes to shove and Tatum comes back, assuming Tatum comes back at a level near to what he was, unless he's completely, it's an Achilles that could change a guy's career. I'm still going to look for Tatum to be the guy people look for, to listen to. You are a good leader in the locker room. I think this season you've just kind of shown time and time again that this is personal for you. And I've never been in that situation. You are a pro athlete. You have taken substantial criticism. But the word sacrifice rubbed me the wrong way. I don't think you've sacrificed as much as you think you have. I think you're still propped up. You and Tatum have been all-stars together. It's not like they're looking... I don't think you're missing those kind of opportunities because Tatum's next to you. I think the league recognizes both of your skills well, and especially now since you won the chip. But even when we had it, from 17 to now, you guys got all-stars. And when you didn't get an all-star, nobody said you got... I don't even think you have been snubbed. I think for most of the part, you're wearing an all-star jersey. Is Tatum a starter and you were a reserve player? Yeah, and you know what? That probably should have been the case. A lot of regular season Tatum is chipping away like that. A good point was brought up by one of my friends today. The regular season, you both play fairly well. Tatum, I think, has a better floor in the regular season. So the worst he can be in the regular season is here. His ceiling is lower than your ceiling in the regular season, but his floor is a lot less. When you get to the playoffs, maybe the playoffs. When we get to the playoffs, his ceiling is higher, but his floor is lower than your floor. You tune it up just enough consistently in the playoffs. We can always rely on you. But those are accolades you get in the regular season. So it's hard to argue, because of what you did in the playoffs, you should have been an all-star that year. That's never an argument because that's not how they vote. I've always thought since 2018, 2019, since you guys really came into your own, Tatum's always been a more prominent regular season player. That's not because you're getting less opportunities. Sure, final shots of a game, maybe. But you're almost blaming Tatum And it's kind of obvious. So much so that he's now claiming he's not going to come back this season. He's going to let you ride it out because of what you're saying. What would you rather have? I don't think Tatum's going to be immediately number one if he comes back early. I think he's just going to be a good depth piece. He's a power forward. We need the size. Even if we get a center, we need him. You need him on your team. Dear God, if he doesn't come back and you don't get it, it'd be really cool if you got to the finals. But if it's just you on the team and we haven't made trades, I don't think that's going to happen. And you know what? Why wouldn't you want that guy? You guys say so much of this. He's my brother, all this, all that. I've heard more from Tatum. I haven't heard that much from you. As smart of a guy as you are, why don't you want that guy coming back? Why do you sit there and say all these things of, you were disrespected, I understand it. But can you leave it at that? The sacrificial stuff is like, you guys have built something as a unit, you and Tatum. You are respected together. I don't think Tatum's far and above on you. I just think he is a little bit above. The leadership has not come through the way I was hoping this year from you. It has more come from Mazzulla, which Mazzulla's a good leader, but the calls, and you know, I've mentioned before that I think you complaining about the refs was not the best thing, but I have noticed, I saw a chart like last week where you actually are the least called team all around, the Celtics in the NBA. So maybe I was wrong on that one, but I just don't love everything you've said. And this is me airing out problems that don't need to be aired out, but I'm going to be really upset if Tatum is in a position to come back and he chooses not to just because he wants to give you an opportunity to do something on your own. I think that's stupid. I think that's asinine. You're still going to be the number one for the remainder of the season. I don't think Tatum's going to be, his regular self. He'll still be a good player, but to not want him back and to keep talking like this, especially with the deadline coming up, it just rubs me the wrong way. And I'm sure I feel alone on this. Probably other people are agreeing with him more, but that's a point I just wanted to make. Trade deadline, Thursday. We played the Bucks today. We won. We beat them handedly. The Giannis-less Bucks are a terrible team. Kyle Kuzma, you are terrible. Suck. So, where's Giannis going? I want to see how this shakes out. Giannis should get traded. Giannis is going to leave the Bucks at the end of the season because he feels like Milwaukee has not put enough around him to win a chip again. I agree with him. We'll keep it as that. Where is he going to go? I've heard Warriors. I've heard Minnesota. He's going to go to a team because this is the rest of his contract, right? He's up as a free agent. I think the Bucks are going to do right by him and try to get into a team where he most likely extend himself, which is also a team that will give up more assets. If they feel like they can re-sign Giannis, like the Warriors, Minnesota, any of these other teams, I heard Spurs, but I don't know if that will happen. All these teams, they're going to get more in assets from a team that feels like they can re-sign Giannis. That's just the truth of it. And the Bucks should trade him because he's definitely leaving in free agency. You might as well get something for him. Do right by him, but get something for him. Even if it's a couple picks, even if you don't get much, you need to trade him. And it shakes up a lot of things. The hottest question in the league is, who's really in the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes? That is an NBA.com article. Hearing a lot of stuff about Golden State. They have assets. The Timberwolves. I'm hearing the Timberwolves. They have assets. Giannis and Anthony Edwards. Dear God, I would love that. I like Anthony Edwards. I like his I like his attitude. Even if they had to give up Gobert, I would love to see what the two of them could do on Minnesota. I mean, it would just light it up. And I think Minnesota might be the best for the Bucks. They probably get the best assets. They're a more younger-ish team than what the Warriors would have to give up for you. Jimmy Butler, who's decrepit, he's done. Kuminga, Moses Moody, two guys, no nothings. Brandon Podziemski, I never say it right. A couple first-round picks. That would be like the only thing I'd look at and be like, oh, you're getting something in first-round picks, and you're getting a couple of. And the Warriors would get Kyle Kuzma with Antetokounmpo. And I don't know. It's not worth it. So Trailblazers would be part of that trade because they would also send Holiday to the Timberwolves. Drew Holiday, Giannis. I'd like to see that. Holiday would be a Hall of Famer if Minnesota pulled it out. They're a good team. So I've heard some things about the Knicks as well. Giannis to the Knicks, I think would be cool for New York, but New York's not moving me right now. They've got so many guys who just do a whole lot of nothing. somehow we're still... Knicks should be number one in the East, I feel, the way that team is constructed. The fact that Detroit is on them still and we're not far behind is concerning. I've heard Pelicans. I wouldn't like that. He would probably leave. So I don't think the Pelicans give up much unless they give up Zion. That would be crazy. Yeah, I kind of hope he goes to Minnesota. I don't know much more about that, but I figured I'd throw this in here, just talk a little bit about it. Giannis is a good player, still a good player. He's getting a little older, but he could change the team around. Minnesota would be crazy. Warriors, I know it's Curry and Giannis. It doesn't move me. They're just a terrible construct of a team right now. I don't know what their GM's been doing. So that's where Giannis is. Haven't heard a whole lot of big names this deadline. He's kind of the biggest one. Anything could happen. NBA is usually the most volatile for moving around players, but off the top of my head, I haven't heard of anybody crazy getting moved outside of Giannis. But who are we going for? Obviously, center. I've heard more rumors from last week. I've heard what we possibly offered for Zubac a couple weeks ago is what I'm hearing, which was Simons. I think it was Simons and Hauser, or maybe not Hauser. It could have been another guy. Now I already forgot. A first-round draft pick and then a first-round pick swap in consecutive years for Zubac. And they said no. And this is a rumor. Honestly, if they need more, I don't like that trade. I think that is a perfect trade. I think if we gave up what he offered them, I would be inclined to accept it and say, great, we got a center. Didn't give up a whole lot. The picks always make me wishy-washy, but we got a lot of young guys, and I think just adding more young guys doesn't do us a whole lot of help. Plus, our picks are going to be our picks are always bottom 20. We could suck, and we were supposed to suck this year. We're supposed to get AJ DeBonsta, whatever his name is, and we're the third in the East. So our picks always suck. So I don't really giving them up doesn't really kill me. I don't know if they want more. Not a huge fan of what they were looking for if they want more. But we have 4 days here. 4 days to the deadline. What can be done? What will be done? I go back to the Simons thing of he's a great player. He's doing great for us. He just had a great game against the Bucks. He was making the right moves. Doesn't change the fact that we get to the end of the season. He's a free agent. We can't re-sign him. We don't have the money. We don't have the space to re-sign him. Get rid of him now. Because he's a guy that doesn't come across as somebody who I think will re-sign with us for lower wages. He shouldn't. I don't think anybody should do that. We are restricted. He's probably going to go somewhere else. Get some value out of him. Go get a center. Hopefully Pritchard gets more consistent. Hopefully some of these younger guys step up a little more. But man, Pritchard, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, Zubac. Or another center. Kate on the depth piece. Jordan Walsh, Shireman, Minot, if you didn't give him up. That's a good starting five with average depth. And then you run wild. And then you go into the playoffs and see what happens. I think you can easily get to the Eastern Conference Finals. The way you're playing defense, the efficiency you're producing on this season, I think it can be done. I think with not a lot of effort, you can get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, depending on who you play. First couple of rounds. Knicks always scare me still. I think you can beat Detroit. I don't think Detroit's like an unbeatable juggernaut. They're just first in the East right now. I read something that a Western Conference executive mentioned that the Celtics could very much win the East, but then the side comment was like, it doesn't matter. The East sucks and the West team's going to win. And that's kind of the way I look at it right now. I don't know if you guys have been watching much of the NBA, but that's the way it is with Denver and OKC and the Spurs. And unless they beat up on each other and they're walking out into the finals with a lot of injuries, I kind of just see like the West is taking control at the moment. But that doesn't mean lay down, wait till next season. Do what you do. Make it considerably fun for the rest of us, for the people that watch the games. They're cheering you on week in and week out. Make it fun. It's not fun to just say we gave up. I remember I was talking within the first 2 weeks of the season on this pod saying this is going to be a tough season if we're just going to lose every game. So much so when we got, we lost 7 straight or whatever it might have been. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, maybe I should just stop this right now. Nobody in the Boston area wants to talk or hear about a team that laid their arms down and just gave up. This trade deadline is another leg of that journey. If you don't make a trade, it will be viewed as they don't think they can do much this year still. If you let the team ride out, it's still going to be a fun team to watch. It's not going to be it's not going to be a tanking team. But if you make a move and go get a center, there's going to be more buy-in from the rest of us to say they're going to try to win a championship, and we're going to be right behind. We've got 4 days here. The assets are there. The money can be moved around. The players are available. From all the rumors we've heard, there's options out there. There's options you can get. Brad Stevens, you're a genius. I trust in you. Missoula, I trust in you. Jaylen Brown, I've said some negative things, but I trust in you. I trust in this team to do what they have to do to make the rest of this season a championship run. Nobody thought the Patriots were going to do much, and they're in the Super Bowl. Look to them to say we can be just like them. Nobody thought we were going to do much. Let's go to the finals anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you today. I hope you had fun. I had fun in this episode. Trade deadline coming up. Get excited. I can't wait to talk about it next week. Hopefully it's a positive conversation. Green Line Breakdown, episode 13. I'll see you guys next week. Go Celtics.